Good morning. Good morning. We're going to talk about colorectal cancer this morning because of the problems that we had in the notification that Chadwick Boseman, of course, suffered from it and died from it. And so this is the number 3 cancer that affects people. Number 1 is lung cancer, regardless of whether you smoke or not. Then number 2, prostate in men, breast in women. And number 3, a strong third place, colorectal cancer. And let me tell you, this affects people in a phenomenal way. One of the signs and symptoms that you need to be concerned about is, one, oftentimes people have blood in the stool, blood on the paper when they wipe themselves, and or blood in the toilet. Now, the most common cause of that is hemorrhoids. But people will note this, and if it becomes a chronic problem, it needs to be evaluated. And the way that you evaluate it, there are 2 tests that are recommended now, a colonoscopy, which is a test that, fortunately, during the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, it was passed that this is one of the 13 tests that's covered with no copay. So it should cost people nothing to get a colonoscopy, and they should get a colonoscopy starting at age 50. If you're African-American, starting at age 45. If you have a first-degree relative that has colon cancer or polyps, then you can get it at any age, and I highly recommend it. That the most gastroenterologists will tell you, have all your family members checked. So if you have a father, a grandfather, a mother, grandmother who has colon cancer, then you should start getting checked immediately, regardless of what your age is. So things you can do to prevent it, of course, a diet that's low in animal fat, high in fruits and vegetables and whole grains, the healthy diet that helps with every disease, including cardiovascular disease. But guess what? One of the things you can do to lower risk, take a low-dose aspirin. The 81 milligram, they used to call it baby aspirin, but now the 81 milligram aspirin is noted. And on the American Cancer Society website, they note that you should take vitamin D. Vitamin D helps prevent and lower the risk of colon cancer. So we have been touting the benefits of vitamin D, of course, in reference to immune system boosting, but it also lowers your risk for colon cancer and breast cancer in women and prostate cancer in men. So stay physically active, limit your alcohol intake, don't smoke, stop smoking if you do smoke, and get yourself screened. Now, the other screening test now that's become very, very popular is one you've seen advertised on television called Cologuard. You collect a specimen at home and you mail it in. You send it through the U.S. Postal Service or UPS or FedEx or one of those carriers. They analyze your specimen for the DNA of colon cancer. And it's a very, very specific test for people who don't have the ability to go in and get a colonoscopy or just for whatever reason don't want to get one. It's now covered by more insurances than the colonoscopy is, and it is a very, very viable option. But if that test is positive, then you definitely need to have a colonoscopy.
Dr. Collier, real quick,
yes, sir.
Of course, we're still, extremely sad, and our hearts are so heavy right about now with Chadwick Boseman. But how, we know he's our superhero as Black Panther, but he's a real superhero because how did he do everything that he did with stage 3 cancer? Filming all of those movies and never. I mean, I'm sure he might have complained off the set, but he took it like a champ.
He took it like a champ. He was just a soldier, and I'm sure that he was having a lot of discomfort, abdominal pain, etc. Stage 3, because the most common issue is that you get bowel obstruction. But from what I understand, he had multiple rounds of chemotherapy, he had multiple surgeries to decompress the bowel. So he was just a soldier. He was just living with it and did not share it, did not ask for any special compensation to say, I'm sick, take it easy on me, etc. He was a perfect example of how to live with any disease, but particularly with colorectal cancer. So, it was a total shock and surprise to everyone, that he had that diagnosis. When people did notice weight loss recently, everybody assumed he was losing weight for a different role, but he did not have the body that he had when he was, King T'Challa in Black Panther, and people were concerned about that. But even in Spike Lee's movie, he looks physically fit and healthy. So, again, it shows you that you can live life up until the very end, no matter what your disease state is. And, it's just more of your mental status. If you decide you're going to live with it and continue to live, you can. And if you decide you're going to let the disease process dominate your life, you can. We've seen that in a lot of people as well.
Dr. Collier, man, we always appreciate you and your thoughts and everything that you have that you bring to the table. We still got COVID-19 going on. Any last things that you want to say real fast regarding COVID-19?
Oh, absolutely. We're still averaging about 1,000 deaths per day, and the number has now changed. As far as total number of cases is concerned, nothing has changed. We still don't have a viable vaccine, although they're speaking about making the vaccine available even before stage 3 testing is confirmed. I don't think that's necessarily a good idea. We're not at a moment where we have to do that. This is not Ebola, where people are just dying in the streets. This is, it's definitely urgent. There's an urgency, but not where we have to avoid safety issues. You don't want to take a vaccine and a couple of years later or even earlier, you having problems that could have been avoided by just completing safety studies. We have multiple vaccine candidates. We will get one. This is definitely politics and not science. So, I would say African Americans participate in clinical trials if you can. We want to make sure that it's safe for everybody and that it works for everybody. Because amazingly enough, there are a lot of medications that work differently in people of color. They work differently in men versus women. And we need to have that data before we can make recommendations about dosing. It may just be a simple matter of taking a different dosage that works better for black people.
Dr. M.J. Collier, the greatest of all time, man. How can people get in contact with you?
You can reach me on all social media at Ask Dr. MJ. And remember, these are the medical opinions of Dr. M.J. Collier and not those of the Rickey Smiley Morning Show or its radio affiliates. Thank you so much for having me on, and we will talk to you on Wednesday.